Agate. The candy-colored agate's origin dates back 150 million years. The name candy-colored agate comes from the stone's candy-like color. Every agate is natural and unique, having been honed over 100 million years as it absorbed heaven and earth's essence and energy, and became a relic of the earth. The agates are carefully selected, pierced, and strung as bracelets and mala necklaces. Blessed by Grandmaster JinBodhi, these agate mala beads offer the wearer wisdom, inspiration, and the eternal protection of universal auspicious energy. They're greatly beneficial to those with cardiovascular and allergy issues. These mala beads are also beautifying accessories, helping in boosting women's romantic luck. All the friends online, hello everyone. We meet again. Today we will continue with the discussion of family precepts. Today is part 15. The topic of today's discussion is part of manners. And today we will be talking about thinking in the other person's shoes. When we think about it, it doesn't feel very important, does it? When I introduce it to you, I feel that it's a very important concept. It's a representation of our manners. What have we learned? What is our merits and virtues? It's all shown through our behaviors and our thoughts. When we're thinking about things in the other person's place, we're thinking it from their behalf. Usually we say that I am not you, and you are not me. How do you know me? How do I know you? So this concept involves many aspects of relationships. Almost every single aspect. For example, in families, we're a family. What is there to think about? If we are in a family, then we should be able to understand each other. But if we analyze this gradually, maybe it's not as hopeful as we think it is. For example, when we are driving, usually the driver doesn't like pedestrians. But what if I am a pedestrian? I probably don't like the cars passing by, especially in Asia. In Asian countries, many drivers are not as polite. They don't give way to the pedestrians. People who are driving seems to be in an urgent situation. They think that the pedestrians are slowing them down. But what about the pedestrians? Many pedestrians in Asian countries are like on the run. They seem to be competing with the vehicles. And there are jailworkers and dangerous situations arising. And also when we are in our workplace, we sometimes feel that the boss are too strong or too stingy. That's what an employee might think. Very few employees will worship their employer like their father or like a Bodhisattva. They always feel that he is unfair and has very high requirements of the employee. But what about the boss? Exactly the opposite. The boss would feel that the workers are irresponsible. They're not careful. They're not focused. They're lazy. They're irresponsible. So the two sides, their ways of thinking are opposite of each other. So if you want to be a boss, maybe you should be a worker first. And then you can observe the boss's behavior, if you should be more compassionate or caring to your employees. When you have been an employee yourself or a regular worker, then it might be beneficial for you to become a boss in the future. Usually, we say that a customer would think that a store tries to rip them off, that the price is too high. It used to be $2 for something, and 3 years later, it will cost $5. If you had a profit 3 years ago, and now you have raised the price so high, who can buy it? But what about the store owner? They would think that the customers are too picky. When I buy wholesale, I buy hundreds of thousands of different merchandises, and I cannot pick or choose. But when you come to purchase, you start to pick and choose. It seems that you want to magnify every single aspect of the product to pick and choose. If there's any little thing wrong that might be bad, then the product cannot be sold, and it just stays in the storage. And so in our life, we really need to think in the other person's position and think from their perspective. If we do this, then we might be able to have a more reasonable and better understanding of the other person. Master, I think your examples are very good. In reality, everyone has double standards. And I want to add one more example. When I was a daughter, I don't like to hear my mother rumble on. My mom would always be trying to remind me to do this and do that, and be careful about different things. And I feel that she has such a high standard, and it's very discomforting to hear her nagging. But when I become a mother myself, I feel that I am always reminding my child, I just reminded you, why are you not doing anything? And so that's why I would repeat myself again and again and again. So is this karma? Maybe. And so I feel that Master's example is really good, and it let me reflect on myself. And it's very common, but we don't notice it. So we really need to understand each other, to think from the other person's perspective. If I am him, if I am you, what would I do? This is a very important concept. If you are able to think from the other person's shoes, then you will be able to understand that person and tolerate. For example, the example from Uli and her mother. You're a family, and even with such a close relationship, you need to understand each other. If you were a parent, and if you are able to think in your 3-year-old toddler's shoes, and say that if your child is 12 years old and he made a mistake, would you be able to truly understand what he's thinking? As an adult, we're focused on our career, our life, our relationship, or retirement issues, or paying off the mortgage, or socializing. We are all thinking about bigger issues. How do we understand a young student? A student is in school for over 10 years. During these 10 years, their physical and emotional changes are different every single year. When you only understand your 8-year-old child, and when he grows up to 9, you don't understand him anymore. And so you always have to learn or read a book on child psychology. It's very difficult to understand. Say that your mother-in-law is 70 years old and the daughter-in-law is only 30 years old. How would you be able to understand each other? The mother-in-law might say that I was young before too. Yes, you might have been, but now you are 70 years old. No matter how you think, you will not be able to understand your daughter-in-law completely. What she's thinking, it is very difficult. So I hope that our friends online, when you hear these difficulties, I welcome you to leave a message. I think today's topic is very interesting, but it's very difficult to explain or comprehend. Some people read books to gain more knowledge, whether it's psychology or sociology, and trying to understand other people's feelings. I need to think about it. Okay, I've finished thinking. One day, okay, there's a story. One day, there is a family of farmers. So the farmer has a cow, a lamb, and a pig. And one day the farmer went into went to catch the
在
pig.
捕捉这个猪的过程，
And
一直
while
在把它
he
抓住
is trying to catch the pig,
这个猪啊，就拼命的
the
逃
pig
亡，
tries to
挣扎
run and
嘶叫
escape.
拼了命的嘶叫。
And the pig is
这个过程中一
crying
嘶叫呢，
and
这个
screaming.
羊和牛
And when the
就笑话
pig
他。
screams,
哎呀，
the
猪啊，
lamb and the
平时
cow
是吧，
laughs at the
你踩着个
pig.
大肚子，趾高气
They
扬的，
say
很有
that
派头
normally
啊，总是
you're
指指
just
点点的，说我
you're
们俩没
just
出息。
very arrogant
你
and
看看，
point your
主
fingers
人
at
抓你
us.
去，还不知道是干
But
啥，
now,
你就吓
when
成这个
the
样子
farmer
了，
comes
不
to
别喊
catch
能
you,
的，
you don't
至于
even
吗？
know what the farmer wants to do, and
猪
you're
说，
scared
你们两个东
and
西啊，
crying and
真挺不是
screaming.
人的。啊当然他
And
们
the
本来就
pig
不是人，
point says
你们
to
确实不理
the
解我做猪
cattle
的不容
and
易。
the lamb, says
你
that you
看，
don't
把你
understand my
把你
difficulty.
这个奶牛捉过去，这是
When
挤点
the
奶，
farmer
哎，
catches
你看你就
the
把你放回
cattle,
来了，
he is
说
only
把
trying
绵
to
羊弄过
milk
去，
you.
露点羊毛，
When
说
the
把我弄
farmer
过去的
catches
时
the
候，
lamb,
也就是
they
最
are
后一
trying
次
to get some
去杀我。
wool.
所以
But
我们
when
这
the
个身
farmer
份不同
catches
啊，
me,
这主人
he
对
is
待
just trying to
平时
kill
我
me.
们拼命的喂食，就把我养胖了、养
The
肥了、养
farmer
大了
feeds
之
me
后，
a lot of
我就
food
变成
every
了他的
day,
菜，
just
知道吗？
trying to make me
所以我是
gain
最
more
后一
weight,
喊呐，
and
最
so
后
that
一
I
搏，
will
我是
become
最后
a
一
dish
哭啊，
on his
还不让
table.
我大哭一
This
场
is
吗？
my last time to scream and
哎，这
cry.
俩就愣了
What's
啊，
wrong for
真的
me
吗？
to cry?
对，
Then the
所以
cattle
这个
and
你
the
看身
lamb
份不同，
is stunned.
你看这
So
种一
when
样的感
your
觉就不同，
position is
想
different,
法也不
when your
同，
character is
结
different,
果呢
you will have
更是
different types of thinkings
非
and
常有差
experience, and the
哎
the
呀，这
result
个
will
真
be
是啊，
different
所
too.
以我们就需要去理解。所以下
And
一
that's
次
why we need to
羊
understand
和牛再
each
看见
other.
猪叫唤，
So the next
就
time
别
when the
提这
lamb
些
and
傻
the
问题了
cattle
啊，真是
sees
不
a
容易
pig
的，和
screaming,
你
they
们
wouldn't
俩
ask
是不
such a
一样
silly
的。
question anymore.
哎，所以呀，需要理解啊。
So we
我在
really
记
need to
得30年
understand
前，
each other.
我们在我们的祖国的时候，
I
经常提那句
remember
话，就是理解万岁啊。对，
back
我
in
现在
China,
我也
there
是
was a
理
slang
解这一点啊。
that
你
says,
你发
"Oh,
现你现
hail
在
to
想一想，如果你真
understanding."
的头猪呢，
Now
是
I
吧？
finally
所以以后你
understand
哭
this
的话，
slang.
大家才
Think
有理
about
解
it. If
啊。
you were that pig,
尤其是身材有点胖的，设身处地想，如果我是猪，
especially if you
主人来捉你的
are
时候，
overweight,
主人捉你也
and
是这个结果。
if
如果外人捉你更惨，你要跑还打你，是吧？真是。
you might be
真不
able
容
to
易。
relate yourself to the pig more easily.
所以通常呢，我们
How would you
在
feel
这个
if
很
the
多
farmer
人
comes to
上这个
catch
年
you?
龄之后，比如有些固执的人，他会比较
When people
嗯
gain,
很善于就
when
是
people become
总结
older,
啊，将一
especially
个
a
一种
stubborn
感觉，他
person,
总结经验之后就
they
是固定化。
are very likely to make summaries and
比如说，中
generalizations.
国的山东人爱吃
For
大葱，
example, they would
这
say
个模式
that
他就定下来。那四川、湖北
people who
人爱吃
live
辣
in
椒，
Shandong likes to
就
eat
固定
spring
下来了。
onions,
哎，
and
所以就
people
有人
living
说，
in
哎，你
Sichuan,
们四川
China
人来
likes
了，
to
我招待你，
eat
也
chili
不问你
pepper.
爱不爱吃辣椒，他觉得
And
四川人肯定爱
if
吃
you
辣
tell
椒。
somebody
你到
that
我
you
这儿
are
做客，
visiting from
我就
Sichuan,
炒一些辣
they
的
will
菜给
want
你，
to cook some dish that
我
is
告诉
very
你，真
spicy
的不
without
一定。
asking if you can eat
但是
spicy food.
常规情况下，山东人爱吃葱
Even though
啊，四川人爱吃辣
normally
椒，这是
Shandong people
通
likes
常
to
情
eat
况。
spring onion and Sichuan
啊，
people
所以
likes
你
to
在
eat
招待
spicy
四川
food.
人一起吃饭的
That
时候，
is
你最好
the
问一下，
usual
你吃辣椒
situation.
吗？
But before you treat
有
them
人
to
说
any
吃，
dishes, you should
你还要
ask
问
them,
你吃的很辣
can
吗？
you
还是
eat
不太
spicy
辣？
food?
我
And
放
how
心，
spicy?
我就遇到过这个问题啊。
I've run into such issues
哎，
myself.
我在很年
Myself,
轻的时候，
when I was
哎，我
young,
的一个朋友是四川人，
my
我
friend
也是认识他不久。
comes from Sichuan,
我呢请他吃饭，
and
一人
I
点了一碗面，
invited him to
啊，
have a
我
bowl
呢
of
就把我的
noodles,
这个面条汤里头
and
就
I
㧟了一
added
勺辣
a
椒油，
spoon of chili oil
我呢
and added to
又开起
my
另外一勺来，
noodle, and I spooned
我
another
要
spoon
正
of
好
chili
要倒
oil.
到他的碗里的
And
时
when
候，
I was
他
about
说
to
别
give
别
it
别
to my friend,
不
he
要，
stopped me. He
哎，
said, "No, please
怎
don't.
么了？
What's wrong?
你嫌不辣吗？
Don't
说
you
不
feel
是，
it's don't
我
you
有
f-
痔
you
疮，
don't want
我不吃
the
辣椒。
spicy?" He
哎，
said that
对，
he has
所
an
以他说
illness
我过
and
去
he
吃
could
辣椒
not
不要
eat
命，
any
但是
chili.
我这个可能我不知
He
道
told
是
me
不是
that
普
he
通正
used
宗的四
to
川人还是
eat
咋
a
的，
lot of
反正
chili
我是吃
in the past, but he couldn't do it that anymore. It was very harmful to his health. And so I was scared too. If I had added that spoon of chili oil into his noodle, it would have wasted the noodle. Usually, many situations are not like the rigid situation that we have set up ourselves in. People from Shandong, they really like to eat spring onions. But some people get a headache even if they smell the smell of spring onion. And some people cannot smell garlic. Most people would feel that fried garlic is very good. But some people would say that they get very nauseous when they smell it. Master, I've run into similar situations before, and I have a story. I remember when I just started to learn meditation, I saw an older practitioner. She was very old with white hair, but she was very gracious. And she learned meditation for many years, and so she knows a lot of things, and I was very respectful of her. And one day she was very kind. She told me that she wants to teach me how to do prostration. That is a great meditation method. And because I had a very good impression of her already, and so I was very happy to be able to learn from her. So I followed her to do prostration, and she was doing prostration in front of us, and a few of us were standing behind her to learn. She was, I think, over 60 years old, and she had a lot of white hair. And I thought that we are pretty young, we won't be too far off from her, right? But she had a very good meditation foundation, and she could do prostration very fast. And it surprised us. Say that yearly we can do maybe 108 prostrations every hour, but that practitioner, she could do 108 prostrations in 20 minutes. So you can visualize, you can imagine how fast she can do it. She's like a spring, and her body is very soft and flexible. And so we as new practitioners, it was very difficult for us to keep up with her. And we were just going to the ground and then climbing up again. And it gave us a lot of stress on our lower backs. And on the second day, all of us, we had very painful lower backs and abdomens. And on the second day, she came to us again and wanted to continue to do prostration with us. And we all said, no, maybe not today. It's very painful. Maybe tomorrow. Let us have a rest today. And now I feel that at that time, she was very kind, and she wanted to teach us one more practice method, but she probably had forgotten that she is a seasoned practitioner, and she practiced a lot, and so her lower back and her abdomen, it has very strong muscles. And so the speed for her is very easy. But for us newcomers, it was very tiring. It almost made me fear prostration. And every time when I think about this story, I feel painful. And for example, now that we teach new students to walk energy bagua, we understand why masters say that we don't ask beginners to raise their hand for 5 or 10 minutes. When they become very tired, their entire head feels that the practice is very painful, and they stay away from it. And so when Master taught us that when we teach other people, we cannot rush. We have to understand that it's new, it's a beginner, and we have to pace ourselves. That's why Master says that we can change our hand every 2 to 3 minutes. And I know the practitioner that you are talking about. And when I teach the standard method to do prostration, the pace is very safe and reasonable. But it was because of her character and her behavior. It doesn't matter what she does. She wants to be very efficient and to do it very fast. And she wants to compete and win at everything. That I am faster, better, and more effective than you are. But you probably don't know what happened to her a month later. She wouldn't be able to straighten up her lower back after a month because she did it too fast. It's not because that she was a very good practitioner, but because she was competitive. This is different from meditation. When we do meditation and self-cultivation, we're trying to get rid of our competitive mind. And in prostration, we are focusing on the movement, and we cannot do it so fast. It doesn't mean that the faster you are, the better you are at it. Let me tell you now the story of this practitioner. There was a short-term hotel, and outside of the house, outside of the hotel, there are 2 potted plants. She told me that I am a very good flowerist. If you trust me, I can trim the 2 potted plants. And so I said that, okay, sure, you can give it a try. And also, in the backyard, there are other trees. And I told her that you don't need to trim those trees. And 1 day later, in the evening, I went to see what happened. I was very surprised. The garden seems to have gone through a disaster. All the trees are bare. There was a willow. She trimmed everything, and there was no leaves anymore. This willow tree is like a cactus now. I was very surprised. Who told you to do it? I was inspired to do it. She saw that this is what I wanted. You shouldn't have done it. You should have just asked me. I wanted to ask you, but you left already. So she saw that I can just work harder. I think this is very good. So after I trim the trees, there won't be too many leaves on the ground, so you don't have to clean it up too much. The tree looks nice because of all the small branches and leaves. Why did you trim it all out? She said it's another type of beauty. If you have turned the willow tree into a cactus, I don't know what's beautiful about it anymore. So this type of behavior, she feels that she saw that I wasn't very happy. And she asked me, "Are you angry?" And I cannot admit to it. I said that no, I'm not angry. She said that you are. You definitely is angry. And I said, no, don't worry, I'm not angry at all. She said that I was trying to be kind and hardworking, and you're angry,
你看，
and I'm
这是我
not
们
happy
在
too.
接人待物的做事过程之中，
So when we
常常会出
socialize
现这样的朋友，
and
在做事的时候，他
and
是觉
work
得
with people,
我觉得
there
是
are
好的，
always people who are like
我就给
this.
你这么做。
I think this is good, and
还
so
有
I'll
送
do
礼
it
物的
this
话， 我觉
way.
得这是好的，
I think
我
this
就给
is
你
a good
那
gift,
怎么了
and so I'll give it to you.
啊，有一位一位同修吧，啊，他给我
Here's
讲了
another
另外一
story
件这个送礼好心送礼的事情，
about giving
当然结
gift.
果不是很开心。哎，这位朋友呢是位中年男子，
So this
啊，
is
那么他前
a
两年
middle-aged
在
man.
过49岁生日的时候，
When he had his 49th birthday,
他是男的哈，他另外一位男同学，同
his
学嘛和他年龄相仿
classmate, so his classmate is
哎
also
到
a
很多
gentleman
人
and
30多位
about
老
the
同
same
学
age
朋友
as
亲
he
戚在一
is.
起过生日，
So
大家
on
最
his
高
birthday
潮、最
party,
热
there
烈的
are
时候，
about 30
他说
people
我
at
带
the
了一个
party.
你们没有想到的礼物。
And when
哦
it
他
was,
一说
when
大家就
everyone was
全部
very
盯
happy,
着他那
his
个礼品
classmate
盒，
said that I brought
哎
not
呀，一
an
层层的
expected
包装
gift.
解开之后，
And when he
哎，
unwraps
一
a
片头发，
gift, there
这
is
一片头发
a
干嘛
hair
呢？
wig.
他说：“你看老同学，
What
我
is the
呢，
hair wig about?
你看到这年龄
The-
也谢顶了，
The
就
classmate
头顶
said,
上头没头
Look
发
at
了。
me.
你呢
I
比
have
我还严
lost
重一点。
some hair
哎，
and am
那
bald.
有一朋友给
You
我
are
介绍
more
呢，
bald than
戴
I
这个
am.
假发，一
But
遮掩，
someone
人很
has
年
told
轻，
me
还没那
that
么老。
you can wear this
所以
hair
我知道你
wig
那个大脑袋，
and
我知道。
then you
所以
wouldn't
我
look
算
so
是量
old.
身定做，跟
And
你一
so
块儿
I have
把中间
special
秃顶的这块
ordered
儿富士
a
山
piece
给你补
of
起来，
hair
补上
of
草，
hair wig,
来
and so that
打
you
开我
can
当
wear it
场给
and
你扣
nobody
上
will
去。
be able to see it.
那对，有一半人脸都
Half
冷
of
冻
the
住了，
half
不
of
知
the
道怎么
people
办
were
了，没
stunned
有表情了。
and
有
don't
一
know
半
what
人
to
哄
do.
堂大笑，
The other half of
因
the
为大家
crowd
看他的
just
样子看
laughed
惯了。
because everyone is
完
used
了，
to how
这
he
个
looks now.
这位先生的这个太太和女儿
And
看着就愣了，张大嘴。
the wife and the daughter was
啊
both
太太
stunned.
说没关系的，我看
The
我老
wife
公是
says
这样
that
子挺
it's
好的。
okay. He
这
looks
是
he's
这个
good
成
as
熟的男
he
人的
he
一
looks.
个自然现象，
He looks very
是吧？
mature and it's
我们是接
natural.
受他的。
We accept this.
可是这位朋友呢，他说你们
But
不
the
懂，
classmate said
他
that you
还
don't
是很
understand it.
善心的、耐心的给人
The
解释。
classmate was
你
very
看，
kind
你
and
现
he
在戴上这一
continued to
片假
explain,
发之后，
when you
对
wear
吧？
this hair
人一下
wig,
年轻了20岁，
you look 20 years
对不对？
younger.
这有什么不好的呢？
What's wrong with
这
this?
朋友说我没有想要，和太太说
He
我
said
们也
that
没
I
打算
didn't
让
want
他要。
it, and the wife didn't
他说
support
反正你
him
们
to
不
wear
懂，
it.
你就给我戴
So the
上吧。
classmate said that you don't
我说
understand,
实在
just
话，过
wear
了
it.
生日之后，他们就这
Probably
位先生
after
没有戴过
the
一次。
birthday party,
我不需要，我就这样。
the person who
我
receives
说
the
这
hair
叫自
wig
然的
didn't
美
wear
嘛
it
我觉得
once.
这是自然的现象，我就这样。
It's
这也不是什
natural
么
to
丢人现眼
lose
的事
hair.
可是他
And
的老
it's-
同学决定
But
让
the
他戴上。
classmate
为此呢，老同
absolutely
学知道他
wanted
还没有
him to
戴，
force him to
老同
wear
学
it.
很生气。你看
And
看，
when he found out he
啊，
never wore
这
it,
个狗
he
咬
was
吕
very
洞宾，
angry
不识
too.
好人心呐。
I give
我
you
是
a
好心
gift
帮
and
你
you don't
买
like
容一
it.
下，你还
I
不
was
领
trying
情，
to help you.
是吧？算了，
Never
我不跟你
mind
做
then.
朋友了。
I
他
don't
还
want to
很
be
生
friends
气。
with you anymore. So the
所以
classmate
生
was
活
very
中这
angry.
种这种事情，你
There
说
are many such
就是
situations
自
in
认为
life.
好的，我一定要
You
给
think
你。
that it's very
这个
good,
真的
and
是
so I
好的。
want to provide it to you.
所以
Is
在
it
古
really
书
good?
上呢，有一句话叫做“己所不欲，
In the
勿施于
ancient,
人”，是吧？
we say
己所
that
不欲，就是自己
do
都
not
这
impose
是另外
on
一个概
others
念
what
啊
you
我已经跳
yourself
过去了，
do
一会儿
not
我再解释这个
desire.
概念。所以生活中我们常
So
常遇
in
到
our
就
life,
是
we run
哎
into
有人跟你觉得他觉得是好的，
many
就一定
situations where
我就要给你。
the other person feels that it's beneficial to
我
you,
我
so
记
they
得
want to
呢
give it to you.
我记得有一位朋友，
I
他呢
remember there
我
is
有一
a
天去他
friend.
的公司呢，
One day I
去
visited
去玩
him at his
哎
company.
那他的公司呢，其中一个商品呢就是鞋子。
One of
他
his
很好心，
company's
他
products
说你来
are
了非常高
shoes,
兴哈，
and he
我
was
送你
very
一双鞋
kind.
子，
He was very happy to see me at his
就
company.
拿个鞋子一个盒儿
So
就给我放了。
he
哎，我也觉得
gifted
好
me
奇，
with a pair
我
of
说这个
shoes,
大小呢？
and that was very interesting. I
他
asked
旁
him,
边
what about the
这个师姐
size?
就说，哎，师傅看
And
着合适吗
somebody
但是我一
beside
看
him
师傅那样子，我就知道脚多大。
asked him, "Would it fit
他也不
master's
说让我试，
shoes?
我也没好意思试。
Would it fit
等回
master's
家之后
feet?"
一试，
And he
长
said
半
that,
尺，
"Don't worry.
太长了，没法
When I
穿，
look at
那往
master,
前
I know
滑。
what his shoe size is.
那下次
But
我
when
有
I
机会
tried
呢
it at
我
home,
又去了
it
他
was
家，
too
还真有
big."
事儿，去他的公司，
And after a while, I
谢谢你的
visited
鞋哈，
visited
我穿
him
了太大
again
了
at his
他一
company,
会儿好吧，
and
我
I
马
bought
上
the
换另
shoes
外一
with
双。他说我
me
一
to
看
give
你
it back
我
to
就知道
him
你穿
and
多大鞋，
told him
又
that
拿了一双，
thank you,
我
but
说
it's
试试
too
嘛，
big.
我还说是
And
不用
then
试，
he
相
gave
信
me
我
another
的
pair of
相信
shoes
我的
and
眼睛，
said that
你还
I
不
know
相信
how
我吗？
big
他
how
这么一
big
问，我
your
难道不相信
your
你
shoe
吗？相
size
信
is.
相信。
So take this
等
pair.
回家一试，
And when I took the second
好吧，
pair back home
我一
and
穿上嘛，
tried it,
我的
it
脚
was
再
a
给它
half
拴
a
住，
size
就抓个
smaller.
地才行，就不
And
能
so
撑开。
I couldn't extend my toes.
哎呀，这真是一位厉害的
He
人物
is
啊，
such a
真是叫自尊、自信、
good
自爱。
person. He is
可是我呢，
very
从来没有穿过一
arrogant.
天他给我的鞋子。
I never wore the shoes he gave me for one day.
所
There's
以这
just
个
no
有时
way
候你
of
自己
wearing
觉得
it.
好的，不一定
Sometimes when you
你的理解就是
feel
对的，
that something is
是吧？
good,
能做
it
到
doesn't
这
mean
种
that your
能
understanding
够
is
去
right.
换位思考、将心比心，
So
再
at
能够
first,
设
we
身
need
处
to
地的话，
learn to be able to
真
think
的
and
是不容
stand in
易。
the other
其实是
person's
一个
position.
很细心、
It is a
细致的事
very
情。
detailed
还有一位呢，还有一
position.
位这个新生儿的妈妈啊，新生个宝宝不久，
There is
那么
a
他的
mother
他
of
这个
a
同
newborn
学的妹
baby.
妹，他同学的妹妹，哎，
Her
这比他小
classmate's
好几岁，
sister is many
哎，
years younger
来
than
来到
she
他家
is.
有什么事儿拿东西什么的，哎，就是来来，这个宝宝
So
真好，真好玩，真好看。
this person
啊，
comes and
妈
says
妈
that
当时在
your
忙什么事
baby
儿？
is so
就是这样的
beautiful.
哈，现在你
And
呢去帮我
the mother
去给
said
我的
that
给孩子呢，给我的宝宝去热我的
please
热那个
help
奶粉，那
to
个奶
heat up
那
the
个奶
milk
粉
bottle
是要
for
冲的，
my
用
baby.
不是用热水啊开水冲是吧？我没冲过啊，
I never
哎，
done it, so
冲的哈，
I'm
不
not
要
quite
太
sure
冷，
what
不
to
要太
do.
热，
But the mother
哎。
told her
我
not
就
to
小孩
be
说，还有
too
你
cold
嘱
or
咐我
not
这
to be
冲
too
不出奶
hot.
粉，那是我小时候都喝过好
And
多啊，
the
拿
girl
了
said
一个
that I
凉
know
乎
how to
乎
do
倒到
it.
奶瓶里，只
And
倒点开水搅
she
和搅
just
和
put
就
some
好，
milk
可
powder
不能太
into
烫
hot
哈，不能
water
太烫，
and
得兑
start
点
to
凉水
stir
进
it.
去
And the mother
啊。
even
我说
reminded
自己
her
还
to
试
add
一试
some cold water
啊，
to
嘬
it.
两口，我就觉得
And
不太
she,
烫。
after she
这个
made it, the
宝宝不
girl
能喝太凉的，
tasted and
这个宝
tried
宝一
it.
在嘴里一塞，宝宝呱就哭开了。
And but when she
他不是两
feed
回事，
it
哭
to
惨，
the
好心给你喂
baby,
奶你还哭。
the baby started to
等妈妈
cry.
过来一
And the
滴，然后
mother
手背上
came
一滴热
and
可
tried
烫
the,
了，
the
宝宝
temperature
是让你
on
给
her
烫
skin
哭的。
and
所以我觉得
realized
不烫
that
啊，
the milk
可以
is
理
too
解吗？
hot
这个小
and
婴
the
儿
baby is
他这
burned.
个适应这个温度
The
哈，
baby
是妈妈身体的温度。
the baby
可是你
is
现在已经
used
多
to
了
the
10度了，
body
这个
temperature
太烫了，
of
对于
their
他来说，
of his
看着
mother.
嘴里头烫的
And
都
so
烫，舌头都烫红了。
the milk
他能不
the
哭吗？
milk that you
他
made
感到
is
痛吗？
too
他
hot.
用哭来警示你，才不
And
说不说
when
话
the baby drank it,
啊，
it
这么
was
脆弱
painful,
啊！
and that's why he
根本
cried.
我喝的时候，我
The
喝的
girl
比他
said
这个
that,
烫多了。
but
说你多
when
大
I
年纪？
drank it, I feel that
说我
it's
好几
very
岁的时候，
good.
对，所以好几岁的时候，比如6、7岁喝的温度，
Even the girl
和
said
1个
that
月、
I
2个
used
月、
to drink
3个月
milk
这个温
powder
度
when I
差
was
别
a
很
few
大。
years old. But
以
that
后我们
is
成
very
年人吃热
different
东西，
between
比如吃那个
a
每天
6-year-old
吃水
and
饺
a
吧，
few months
有
old
的是刚出
infant.
锅之后就能吃，对吧？
Even
那
as
有时候有
adults,
肉有油的，一咬很烫，
as
端碗面
adults,
也能
we
吞下
eat
去。
dumplings.
婴儿不行。
We
哎，
can
对，
eat
所
dumplings
以
that are very hot,
这个想
but
做的这
babies
个理解
cannot.
哈，哎呀，其实是不
So
容易
it's
的。
very difficult for us to
我刚才讲到
understand
这个
each
概念，
other,
尤其是我们觉得我
especially
是为了你
when
好，
we feel that
我
I
认为
am
这是好的，
I think this is
我
good
认为
and
这是对
beneficial
的，
for you. I think
怎
it's
么
right,
你还不领我的情吗？
and you don't like
你
it.
还不觉得我是好
You
人
don't
吗？
feel that
你
I'm
不
a
觉得
good
我是为了
person.
你好吗？
I don't think that you don't think
有时
I'm
候
doing it
真
for
的
you.
不是那么回事。
Sometimes it's not that simple.
所以其实要想读懂
So
对
if
方
you
的需
want
求
to be able to
啊，也需
understand the
要
other person's
很耐
need,
心、
you need to
认
be
真、
very
细致
patient,
的去
very
思考和
focused,
观察，
and
也还
observe
需要我们
that
有
person
更
in
多的
detail.
社会
We
的知
also
识、
need a lot
生
of
活的知
knowledge
识，或者是需要多一点阅
and
读。
many
你看，我
even
们刚才
readings.
讲的这几个故事，跨了多少个年龄段了？
In the few stories that we have told, we have crossed many
这个方面不
ages.
可能有一个专家，我做任
There's
何
no
东西我保证
expert
是你所要的，
that
这
they
不
can
可
do
能
everything
没有一个
right.
是这种神人。
I don't think there is such a
但是怎么把握呢？
sage.
我们慢慢的开
How
始。
should we grasp it? Let's discuss it gradually.
所以我们经常是说，就是站在对方的角度来考虑问题。
So we learn to think
It's
about
不容易。
things from the other person's
有这
perspective,
么一个
and
典
it's
故的感觉
difficult. There is a story.
我有2个朋友站在对面，
So say 2 people are
在我们
standing
中间的地上
in front of
写一
each
个大大
other
从我这边写一个
and
6，
say
阿拉
that
伯数字是 6，
I write
那我
number
对面的朋友
6
看的是什么？
on the floor. What does the
对，
person
你们
standing in
看
front
的
of
是
me
9。
say? They see
对不对？
number 9.
那么当然你可以理解为6，你可以理解为 9，
You can
有没有
understand, you
其
can
他
say
的
it's number 6
作为一种
or
敬
number
语
9. What about
来理
others?
解是另外一个字，对不对？
It might also
你
look
可以理
like
解的是另外一个
alphabet
字，你也可
G,
以说这仅仅是一个符号。
or you can say it's just
对。
a symbol.
所以同样这么一个阿拉伯数字，还有其实最难
It's
解
just
读
a
的是
simple
你两边
numeral.
看都是一个字儿，但是你让不同的人看的时候，他理解
What
完
about
全不
zero?
同。
What if you
有人
write
说这是
zero
零，
on the
有人
ground?
说是
Everyone
孔，
will
有的
say
人说
it's
是坑，
different. Some people might
还
even
说是
say
坑，
that
还说
zero
是
is
圈
a
儿。
hole
所
or
以一
it's
个
just
坑
a
和一个圈儿根
circle.
本是2回事，
A
对不
hole
对？
and a circle are
所
two
以它干脆
completely
就不
different
一样的，
things.
理解上好难呐。
It's very difficult to
这看似
understand.
越容易理解的这
The
件
more
事，
you think, the simpler you think
所
it
以
is, the
这
more
样虽然难
difficult
以
it
理
is to
解，至少我
comprehend.
们开始有了一种叫做，如果我是你，
If
这种
I
换
were
位思考。
you,
更麻烦的是不换位思考。
it would be
比如前
even
面那个
more
世界，
difficult if we don't think about it
在
from the
物
other
理世界
person's
那个做大礼拜，
perspective. For
做的速
example,
度飞快
the
飞快，
person who
像个机
taught
器一样的。
Sister Uli to do
对，我觉得
prostration,
他并没有
when
想
he
到
was
你
doing
是
it
初学
very
者，
fast, she didn't think about it that Uli
他
was
觉得
just a
我就这个
beginner.
速度怎么
She
了？
saw that this
所
is
以你
my
越看
speed.
我做的越快，他总感觉到
The
我做
more
的
you
快，
look,
是我
the
的水
faster
平
I
高，我
will
的
do.
法力
The
高，
faster
我
I
练得
do
好。
it, it's
其实
probably
真的
the
不一定，
better it
所以
is.
是一个
But that might
一
not
种
be the
思
case.
维的心态决
It's
定
how
他
we
的行为的
think,
错误。
and it
对，
determines whether
他并
our
没有想到
behavior
说
is right or
你是
wrong.
初学者，
She didn't
只有站在
realize
你
that
的
you
角度
are
来
a
看这个事情，
beginner,
我
that
做
she
得
should
慢一
think
点，
about
你
it
才
from
可以
your
学得会，
perspective,
做
that
得慢一
maybe
点，你才
slower
能坚持做下
will
去。
ensure that you
你快
will
速
be
的做
able
这
to
几个
learn
动作，
it
一
and
累
that
了，
you
肚子
can
一痛，一
continue
下
to
做
do
不
it
做，
for days.
甚至还容易造成运动伤害。
And for
所
a
以快速
beginner
的
to
站
do
起来，
it so
快速的趴
fast,
下去，
it might be
一加
harmful
快之后
for them
腰肌劳损。
and might
还有
cause
一些
pain
腰
in
椎
the
本来
lower
就有问
back.
题的人，还容易
And
出现
especially for
腰
people who
椎的
already
这
have
种叫做产生
spinal
心肺疾病的问
issues,
题。
it might even
对，
bring
只有
new
这个风险
illnesses.
在的。
There are
所以
risks.
呢，仅仅是站在个人的
So
观点
if you're
看待
only
事物，
looking
没有
at
站
something
在
from
对
your
方
own
的
perspective
感
and
觉、
now
需要
thinking about it
角
from
度来
their
思考问题。
feelings
刚
and their
才前
needs.
头教物理这位师姐哈，
So the
啊，
person who
我们
taught
把她起个
Sister,
名叫古拉斯哈。
let's say that her
古拉斯
name
师姐
is
就是这样
Gulasi,
一位，
say
不去站
Gulasi,
在
who
这
taught
个
prostration to
这种
Uli.
他人的角
She
度
didn't
啊，
think
并
about
没有
it
换
from
位
other
思考
people's
的
position
这一种
and think
思
about
维与
things
行
from
为
their
的方式。
perspective.
他给我修树也修成那样
And
子，
even when
他
she
认为
was
是
trimming
好
the
的，怎
trees,
么了？你还埋怨
she
我？
she did it
那对
she
我来
did
讲
it the
的话，
same
这
way.
真是叫善意的破坏。
This is good?
我觉得他不是破坏的心，
No, this is
但是
not.
他
This
把
is
自己认
damage.
为是对的。
Although she
你
didn't
真
want
的
to
懂大柳
damage
树
it,
吗？因为他是广东人，
do
他
you
们广东
really
没有柳树，
understand willow
他觉
trees?
得凡是树要
She
修
was
剪
a
都应该
Canton.
把它
She
剪
was
光。
from Canton.
你以为
Can-
到了庙里
She was
给出家
Cantonese.
师傅剃头啊，
Maybe she didn't
是吧？
know
所以他能破
anything
地
about
海
willow trees.
啊，对，所以这是一个境界哈，
So
就
that
是
is
没有
one
站
state
在
of mind.
他人的角
That
度和位置
She did not
思考
think
问题
about
才
things
出
from
现这
other
样的
people's
一个结
perspective.
果与现象。
And that's why it caused such a bad
就
result.
是站在对方的角度，
But
刚才
standing
说
in other people's
给
perspective,
我送鞋子的这位朋友，
the
其实
person
也有
who
点这个感觉，
gifted
其
me
实
with
他并没有
shoes,
仔细的想
he didn't think
我
about
穿
it
的这个鞋
clearly.
是否合适。
He
我
didn't
就在
think,
眼前，为什
will
么
the
不让我
shoes
试一
fit
下
my foot? I was
所以
standing
我
right
在
in
等
front
他
of
拿
him.
他这双
Why
鞋，
didn't
我
he
至少要
ask?
跑3
Why
趟才可以。
didn't he
但
ask
是
me
通过这
to
2
try
次的
it?
行为，我觉得是思维
I had to
对
return his shoes
习惯
twice.
性，
And I think it's just how
就是
he
自己做
his
决
thinking
断成了
is.
习惯。
He is used to
对。
making
那么
decisions.
这个好处是什么呢？就是有
The
决断力。
benefit is
我不
that
管那
he can make
不管对
decisions.
错，我就是
He
老
can
大，
make
我就是
decisions.
老大。
Doesn't
有
matter
这些人
what,
适
I
合
will
做
do
将
it
军，
this way. Maybe he will be a good general.
也适合做叫独孤求败啊，其实成为一个神圣的孤独者。
Or he would be a loner.
但是 就是不适合交朋友。
but he's not suitable to
我
make
是理解
friends.
他的，
I
他
can
是思维
understand him.
习惯是
He's
成为这
just
样的
used
感
to
觉的人。
thinking this
但是
way.
不理解的人呢，
But what about for
有些
people
人
who
觉得
doesn't
你是
understand him?
伤害
Some
我，
people would say that you're
我
just
就在跟
trying
前你
to
给我
make
鞋
fun
不
of
让我试
me.
一试，
I'm
你给
standing
我
in
大
front
鞋
of
摊，
you. You
说
want
你
to
不
give
敬
me
我，
with a pair
你
of
给我小
shoes,
鞋摊，
but you
就是
don't
刁
give
难我。
me, you don't let me to
你
try
有
it.
什么想法
Why are
和
you
意见？
giving me
我不
shoes
会
that
想
are
那
too
么多
big
了，
or
我
too
觉得这是
small?
他的思维习惯。
I wouldn't
但
say
有
too
些人就是
much,
这样，你给我小鞋摊吗？
but other people would think
还
that
有
are
呢，
you trying to make fun of me?
还有一个最严重的问题，
What about others?
送礼不送鞋。
And in Chinese, when we give other people gift, we
所以有
never
些
give them
老妈
shoes
妈、老奶奶
because it's the
走在
same
街上一看，哎
pronunciation
呀，一
as
双鞋
evil.
子赶快捡来。
Some
还有一
people
只，
will
还
pick
有
up.
婴儿鞋，你在路上经常碰到，很多人是故意丢，别人
Some
小孩笨
people,
了，丢一个鞋
they
子
will
丢
throw
活气。
shoes on
这是说到风水
into
和
the
命理上
garbage
问题哈。
because their
那有些
children
不
is
懂，
sick
有
because
些
of
老妈
feng
妈
shui
有
issues.
日子过惯了，
But
一看，哎，
some
一只鞋子，
But some
还有说一
people
双鞋
don't
子，不
understand
管大
it,
的小
and
的
they
都
will
捡
see
的。
that there is one single
为什么
shoe
有
or
时
a
经
pair
常
of
路上
shoes,
路边你会
and
碰
they
到
would
小
just
鞋子呢？
pick
你
it
是
up?
故意拿小鞋子扔，你给我
Why
放小
would
鞋，
you
我把小
see
鞋扔
some
掉。他
shoes
为了觉得
on
自
the
己不顺
street?
利嘛。
Because people are
所以
trying
有
to
的
get
甚至是
rid
把
of
积
it,
压多年的一只小鞋
and
子给你
they're
扔
trying
掉。
to throw
可
away
是
the
不
negative
懂眼的
energy.
老妈妈就
But
会
some
给
people
一
who
个
don't
日子，
understand
就
it,
给它捡
they
回
will
去。
want
当
to
然捡的也
take
不一定
it
是邪
home,
气哈。
although they
对，
might
通
not be
常就
taking
不
the
用
negative
捡，这
energy
个不是
home,
个好的寓意。
but it's
那
definitely
值得
not
一
a
问
good
题哈。
meaning.
所以说到这儿，比如说送礼不送鞋哈，还有说送礼不送钟。
There are
送钟又好像
different
是
sayings
送
that we
钟
don't
哈
give
还有
gifts
送
of
钟
shoes
这个
or
对，
所以讲到这儿就是
clocks.
说，为了少一些这种误会的话，
But to have
是
less
需要了解对
misunderstanding,
方的
we really
一个是
need
需
to
求，
know
像他的
the
一
other
些文化
person's
呀，
need
还有一些背
and
景
their
啊等
culture,
等
their background.
对，这个好重要。对，
This is very
比如像我自
important.
己
For
也是，
example,
有的时候比如过生日啊，或者
I
什么，经常
myself,
有朋友也是很关爱嘛，
at my
然后送个小礼
birthdays, they
物，
will give
哎，
me
送
a
个
gift,
小项链儿啊，或
a
者是这样
necklace
小
or
饰品，
something.
结果我没法戴，因为
And
我
but
这是
sometimes
金
I
属过敏。
cannot wear it because I'm
对，
allergic
但是人家
to
不知道嘛，对
metals.
吧？所以就是
But
有的时候是好
other
意
people
呢，
wouldn't
反而
know,
对于
and
我来说，我就是
they
礼
are
不要
very
给他
kind, but
啊，
I
就是这
couldn't
样子。
receive
对，
it.
所以有的时候感觉好像西方的那种文化
And
也挺好的，
sometimes
还有小孩
in
过生日或者
Western
大人结婚呐，就
in
是
the
比
Western
较重要
culture,
的时候，
if
人家
there
就会
is
问
a
说，哎，
special
你要
event,
人家给
they
你送
would
什么
ask
礼
you,
物
what
啊？
would you
那
want?
他们就会写一个
And
wish
they
list，
will
就
have
是
a
我想
wish
要的
list,
东西，列一个
things
清单。
that
就
you
是我
want.
希望得到的礼物，
These are the
列一个
gifts
清
that
单，
I wish to
告诉大家。
receive.
对，告诉大
And
家，
they
大
would
家呢自己去
give it to
选。哎，
everyone,
我送他
and
这个，你
people
送他这
will
个，
pick
还
out
是
我
这
觉得
样
这
子。
个也
saying
挺有风险
gifts
的。
from the list.
我上次我来
Isn't
说
there
我
a
要这个要
risk
那个，
from
告
it?
诉大家，结果没人理我。
I made a
哎，
wish
所以这
list
后来我
myself,
干脆
but
别写
nobody
了，确
gave
实
me
不容易
anything.
得到一个你需要的礼物。
I think it's very
还是挺
difficult
不
to
容易的。
receive a
嗯
gift that
哎，
you
我
need.
想说的就是说，这个理解对方真的是挺重要
I
的。
just want to say
对
that it's
对，
very
然后
important
你
to
看咱们
understand
网
other
友也有
people.
问哈，这个木黄他就问，他就
Online,
说，虽然是很
some
想
people
做
is
到换
asking,
位思
I
考，
want to
但是
try
怎
to
么
think
样
in
才能
other
做到
people's
呢？但是理解
perspective,
不到
but
位的
how
话，
do we
反而
do
会
it?
误会，
And
总觉
if
得
we
是自己
don't
的想
do
法
it
强
very
加给
well,
对方。
there might be
就是说我们在为
misunderstandings
人
too.
处事的过程之中，确实有这
So
种
when we
误会
socialize,
啊。
we
不
might
理
get
你的
confused.
问题有问题吗？
问题，我就是想，刚才那个觉真师姐讲的送礼的这个，就是其实
Jejun
没有
was
送到
talking
别
about
人
giving
心意里
gifts,
头去哈。
that giving
我
the
觉得
wrong
这个
gift.
很多的在我们禅堂里，我记
I
得有一
think
次听到过一
I
个
remember
真的是
I
很
heard a
好笑的一
story,
个故
and
事
it's very
啊，有一个
funny.
师姐，她呢跑过来跟我们就吐槽
So
嘛，吐槽她先生
This
是
person
这样
came to
子，
me
说
and
她前几
said
天过
that
生日，
she had a
过
birthday
生
a
日
few
呢，
days
先
ago,
生其实还是
and her
很爱她
husband
嘛，就
loves
一直
her
想着怎么样给她
and
送个小礼物。
decides to give her a gift. What did her husband give her? Take a guess. I might guess it's flowers or chocolate, or take her out to dinner. And or that maybe if we are older, maybe we would give clothing or jewelries. And we couldn't guess it. The husband gave her a toilet seat cover that can be heated up. It's a very innovative electronic toilet seat cover, and it was very expensive too. And the few of us sitting listening to her all laughed. And we saw that how did her husband came up with this idea? Why would he gift her with a toilet seat cover? And she was very surprised herself too. And I think her birthday was in January or February. And I think it was back in December when I went to the bathroom and sat on the toilet and told my husband that it's very cold. And my husband remembered it. And he took it seriously. And he tried to make me happy. That he gave me the seated electronic toilet seat cover. And he probably saw that it would make her happy. If the person told me that, yes, if it was just an ordinary day that they changed the toilet seat cover, she would be very happy. But the husband made it a birthday gift. And so when I received the gift, I don't know if I should cry or laugh. It's very interesting. So this is a husband and a wife. And even when you give a gift, you might give the wrong gift. But what about for strangers, for people who doesn't know each other very well? Then there might be many issues. You guys live together, and you could have given this gift at any time, but you give the toilet seat cover as a birthday gift. So it's very difficult, and I want to remind you that when you think from other people's perspective, you are thinking about that person, and you're thinking for him. And the effect of it will help us to improve our socialization skills and our leadership skills. And so it's very important for us to learn to respect the other person, to help, and to dedicate ourselves to that person, whether it's money, time, skill, or our strengths. When the other person has a need, we need to have a mind to help. And that will help us to cooperate together, so that we can build a better friendship circle. Even it's our family members, it's very important for us to be able to think from their perspectives. If we can't do it very well, then it might give rise to many issues. Let me tell you a story of a stamp. About 80 years ago, in 1920s, when the economy was very bad in the United States, in one region, over 90% of smaller businesses are bankrupt. Every 60 years, the economy fluctuates. Every 12 years, there's normal fluctuations in the economy. So back in 1920s, when over 90% of the companies are broke, then people are struggling. And this is a natural fluctuation in time. So there was a mechanical company, and his name is Clinton. The owner's name is Clinton. So Clinton
也同样
has
在这个
a
经济大萧条
mechanical
小小的压
company
力下，大家就会有出现了很多这
and
个各种各样的经济的
their
这
factory
个麻烦
makes
这主要
gears.
经济引发的一大堆
And
的
so
烦恼
because of the
那么他
economy,
呢
their
这个时
factory
候他的
has
工厂的
financial
这个生意
issues
就不
too.
好
And
他
so
希望大家
when
能多给他
business
提些建议
isn't very
多
good,
出些主
he
意
asks people for
啊
advices.
那个时候有没有手机的这种
At
快
the
速
time,
传
there
讯息的这个方式嘛，
Pe-
就是用
it was very
传统的
slow
邮件的
to
方式，真
send
的写封信
messages. You
甚至
cannot,
甚至印
there's
刷可
no
能
cell
都
phones,
也许有
and
的
you
就没
had
有，
you
就
had
这
to
样去
write
寄
a
这个
letter
信
and
给
mail
很多
it.
朋友。
So he mailed letters
哎
to many
可
of
是
his
呢，
friends.
他在寄了信之后，他希望让对方
And
回信的话呢，
After
他就开
he
始担
mailed
心，
out the letters,
因为是
he
经济
started to
萧条
worry
时期，
because the
那个时
economy
候美国
wasn't
的邮
very
票呢
good.
是3分钱一张邮票，再加上信封、信纸也都是
At
费
the
用。
time, each stamp
可是
cost
他家
3
也遇到了
cents,
经济困难，
and paper
虽然他
costs
做老
money
板，
too.
他的钱已经全部开
Although
公司
he was
应
a
付
factory
需
owner,
求的
he
时候
didn't
都开
have a
光
lot
了。
of money left.
对，但是这个时候他还要存活下去啊，
But at this
他
time,
要
he
找到
wants
出路嘛，
to
所以他给
survive.
客户们都写
And
信，
so he
怕客户
started
不
to
回信，
write
因为
to
经济
his
萧条，
customers.
大家花1分
And
钱都
when
紧
he
张。
worried about the
对，
customers
你
not
看一
writing
张邮票
back,
才3分钱，
even
那
though
个时候
each
在美国
stamp
的一个
only took
别墅，一个
was
大
only
别墅，
3
现在超
cents.
过150万美金的
Say
别墅，
at that
在那个时候
time,
才多少钱呢？1000块钱左右。
a s-
它是那个时候的货币的比值是这
so
样。
right now, if a house is
所以他
worth
为了让客户能够给他回信，
$1.5 million, it would
就想出一个
worth
办法，
$1,000
就是说
back in the
回信里
1920s.
面夹着
And so he
2块钱
wanted
美
his
金，
customers to
但是呢，
write
一
back
个
to
邮
him.
票钱呢才3分钱。
And to
那
make
这
this
些钱呢，也都
happen,
是他变卖了家里这
he
些资产啊什么之类
included
的，
$2
换来的钱，
US dollar
这样他
bills
把这个
in
信
the
寄出
letter
去。
so
凡
that
收
the
到他信的人
customers
都很感
would
动，因为这真
would
的是
write
太
back
够
to
朋友
him.
了。
And
你看看
everyone
不
who
光是
received a
3
letter
分钱的
from
邮票
him
解决
was
了，对不
very
对？
happy.
其实这个时候经济紧缺的时候
And
当你得了1把米，或者是
And when people
一个饼
found
一
that
样的
there
这
is a
种
$2
效果，
bill
就觉得
in
这
the
是
letter,
啊
people
天上
was
掉馅
very
饼，
happy.
对
And they
上
saw
帝
that
赏赐的一个这种一个
it's
福惠
a gift from the
所以
heaven.
拿这个时候2块钱就放大了它的
And
作用
so
价值。
at that time,
对，
the
所以大家
$2,
也
the
会给
value
他
of
有
$2
很多
is
这个友
being
好的建议
enlarged.
来信呢。对，所以这个行为其实
And
给
so
他带
people
来了
wrote back to
很
him
多这个
and
人际
give
关系
him
上的这个收获。
advices. And so he harvests very good relationships through this act.
所以才后来他的这个
And
公司
so
就扭亏为盈
in the
就
end,
度过了这个经济难关。
his company
所以
was
这
able
是
to
一个
survive
特别的一个事情。
survive through the bad economy.
那么当然会后来这个难关解决，就说明他的那些客户朋友来给他下订单呐、订货呀，
And
就让他起死回生了嘛。就
so
这样
his
他在这
customers
次
was able
这个
to
经济的大的波动之
send
中，
orders to
哎他
him.
反而是
And
保住了公司，
so even in the
保住了机构，
turbulent
一直
economy
存
at
活
that
下去
time,
了
he was
很
able
多
to
的非
save his
那么还有
factory.
一个故事，我也必须应该给大家分享一
There's
下。
another story I want
这
to
个
share
故
with
事名
you.
字叫做“瞎子点灯”。
The story is called A Blind
对。
Man Lighting a Lamp.
有一天呢，对一个人呢，请他这个2个眼睛已经盲人，他古代这个缺医少药，不管什么得什么病啊，什么原因造成的，他眼睛
In the ancient
看不见
times, there
哎
are
就请了朋友，
many blind
把这个
persons.
瞎子朋友领来
And
吃饭。
One day,
等吃完饭之
a
后
man
呢，也
invited
喝几瓶
a
酒啊，就
blind
天不觉得就
person
黑了
to
我
come
估计应
and
该是冬天的时候，
have
天
dinner
黑了早
together.
一不小
And I
心
think
到天黑
it's probably in the winter,
可是呢，
so the day
等他
went
朋友
dark
要
very
出去的时
early.
候呢，当然他们2个村之间距离很近啊。
Between the two
所以就说
villages,
来来来，
it's
你拿着
very
一盏这
close.
个灯笼，
And
我给你点上。这瞎子就生
and
气
the
了，
host
说你
wanted
这
to
不
give
是
the
故
blind
意
guest
搞怪
a
笑
lamp.
话我吗？我一个瞎
And
子，什么都看不见。你
And the
让我
man, the blind
提盏
man
灯
was
笼，
very angry.
这是何
I am
苦的事儿
blind.
有必
I
要吗？
cannot see any light. Why would you give me a
对吧？
lamp?
你是拿我开玩
What's
笑，对不
the
对？
Are you making
欺负我
fun
瞎
of
子。
me?
可是这位
Are you
主人
bullying
请
me
客的
because
主人
I'm
是怎么说
blind?
呢？
So what did the
不
host
是因为你
say?
能看见，
The
不
host
是因为
says
你能
that
用
it's
灯笼，
not
我
because you
们
can
害
use
怕
a lamp.
这个 黑灯瞎火的晚上别人撞到。
But it's because once you carry a lamp, the other person will be able to see you and they wouldn't walk into you. So, because you cannot see other people. But now, when you hold the lamp, other people can see you. So the host is sinking in the blind person's shoe. And it's very touching. I bet they would become very good friends. So the host was able to think sincerely from the blind person's perspective. And so as friends, we need to sincerely think for them on their behalf, because we have a compassionate heart to help them. Then you will be able to make very good friends.
说好，师傅就讲到这里哈，最关键的词就是为他人着想。
Master, when you talk about it, I think the most important word is to think about it in care of others and not about yourself. Somebody said online, my daughter and I, we were arguing about thinking from other people's perspective. And I was asking my daughter to think in my shoes, and my daughter wanted me to think in her shoes. I'm very happy to hear Master talking about it today. I think thinking in other people's perspective is a self-reminder that we want to remind ourselves to think on behalf of others. But I don't think it should be a moral virtue that we request from other people. Yes, we cannot request other people to do it. And I think it's very good that our listeners will get inspired. This is sincere and tolerant love. So that's why we think, if I were you, what would I think? So we should try our best to think in other person's shoes. And this is a very friendly state of mind. When people are doing business, they want to try to think about it. What do customers like? Say that if you are a government official, and the store owner might want to find out your background and where your daughter goes to school, and maybe they want to try to do something bad for you. But what we are talking about right now comes from compassionate, kind, and positive socializing behavior. And that's why we think from other people's perspective, to think, if I were him. And we have a very kind heart. But if you weren't able to do this, why would I do it? When we bring up this issue, some very young children, when they don't have any experience with socializing, they haven't experienced many turbulences in life, they might think, why should I think in the other person's perspective? I think it's very important to be able to think on the other person's behalf. Is very important. We want to have a close relationship with our family members. We want to love each other and care for each other so that we can be happy and have a better life. And in the society, and also between your classmates, you want to try to understand each other and want to have a generous heart of giving so that you can help other people. For example, you say that it's your birthday. Birthdays are easy to deal with, but what if when you run into trouble? Then you start to think that what if it would be great if I knew that person, or that person from that organization. Only then will you realize how important socializing is. But now, there's nothing in your life. I don't need to beg anyone for anything. Why do I need to socialize? Say that if you grew up in a village, all the villagers, it doesn't matter whose family it is. When one person needs help, all the men or all the women will go to help. Why? Why do they all go and help? Why would they put down any chores and go to your house to help? Because only when you help each other, your troubles can be solved and you will be able to live safely here. Otherwise, there will be obstacles everywhere. Every month, there will be trouble waiting for you. Let me tell you a story. I've run into such people, for example, farmers who grow wheat. There's always a time for harvest, right? In northern China, when it's time to harvest wheat, you need to act very fast and very urgently. The time of harvest is different in each region. Say that between June to August, we need to harvest the wheat. Usually, we need to harvest the wheat within 3 days. If you delay it for a week, you might lose a lot. And some people will be able to see that on these few days, there's no rain, and this is the best day to harvest. If there were sudden rain, then the wheat will be destroyed and worth nothing. And that's why it's very urgent to harvest wheat. And previously, there's no mechanical machines. So people have to harvest the wheat by themselves. That's why it's very urgent. You are competing against time. And so everyone has to work together to ensure a good harvest. In one family, that family grows wheat too. And they are very anxious that at this time, we need to beg for other people's help. But at other times, when other people need help, this family wants to enjoy their life and not help other people's. And so nobody wants to help them. So he has to spend money to hire people to harvest the wheat. Say that 30 years ago, you need to use $10 to hire a man to work for a whole day. But because this family doesn't help other people, and when he realized that he has to hire help to harvest the wheat, he starts to add $20, $30, $40. Yearly, he needs to spend 10 times or 15 times more than the euro wage to find help, because people want to punish him. When we need help, you don't help. Now it's your time to ask for help. Even if you want to pay for it, I don't want to help you. So that's why he needs to hire people with $100 a day. And after he harvests the wheat, he forgets about how difficult it was. And so he doesn't socialize with people and doesn't help other people. And that creates a lot of trouble. What if there is a fire? What if there is a fire in your house? People might not help even if you give them money, because it's very dangerous. So you cannot live like this. You don't have any friends. How would you be able to live in this village? The villagers are not lazy, and they know that they have to help each other. And this is humans' experience and their wisdom through the years. Only when you help each other, only when there's altruism, everyone can benefit. People who don't help other people will be loners, and they cannot live their life anymore. So we have to have a heart of dedication, of giving, of thinking in other people's perspectives and thinking on other people's behalf. Only then can we make friends. And so, on this position, on this topic, there are many details. We need to discuss it even further. And so this relationship, whether it's in family, in our careers, whether it's between bosses and employees, in the entire society, we all need to think from other people's perspective. Let me see if there's any comments from our friends online.
Before I come, I was talking about another topic. Oh, Master, there's someone called Jinrui Huan, and she has a question here, and see if Master can help her. Her mother is already 32, but she doesn't want to marry and doesn't want to have a child. So whenever the mother mentions about this, the child is, the daughter is very unhappy, and so this mother wants to know how she can give some advice to the daughter, and how can she put herself in her daughter's shoes. Well, this doesn't necessarily always can help. Maybe she can bring her daughter to a senior's home and visit them when those seniors doesn't have child. You know, when you're young, of course it's fun. You don't feel anything, and you don't have too much pressure. You don't think that you need a lot of things, and you think, oh, being single is actually pretty good. And for a married lady, sometimes they don't want to have child. Oh, she hasn't get married? Okay. Well, actually, the question is that the daughter hasn't even get married yet, and she doesn't want to get married and doesn't want to have any children. So Master said, my suggestion is very simple. Go to a senior's house for 3 days, maybe volunteer for 3 days or a week, and then you go and help them. Just one time, you might change. Because you haven't get old. You don't know what it would be like when you get old. I believe when you found that you have difficulty even in breathing, and you can't even walk properly, and you see the meat and you want to eat, but then your hands are shaking. What would you feel? What would you think? At this time you would think, oh, how nice would it be if I have children to help me. In a senior home, even those care providers, the caregivers, even if they are very kind, but there's so many seniors there, how can they be, so patient all the time? Are they always like what was shown in the TV or movies? Maybe not necessarily. And of course, I know that there are some people who have children that they don't look after their parents when they get old. And when they grow up, the children left and don't care about the parents. If you think this is fine. Then I don't want to force you to get married. If you think being single is good, I think, well, it's up to you. Don't think that, oh, it looks like having no children looks good. Sometimes people, because of their appearance, because of their some experiences, they don't want to get married. Maybe some people are afraid of socializing or deal with people, or maybe their appearance is not so attractive, so they are lack of confidence. And when, say for the daughter, when the man walks by and doesn't even look at her, then she would feel bad. And sometimes it's maybe about financial reasons. So maybe you can talk to your daughter more in depth, and maybe you could also talk to a counselor and see what is happening with your daughter. If there's no problem with her, then go to a senior's home and volunteer for a week. Then I think it would be fine. She would be eager to find a man to marry because she really wants to have a child. Get married, at least she won't feel lonely. And then having children, then in the future, it's a little bit, you have more hope. After you had children, would they look after you or not? That's another topic. If you really want to be single and you don't mind, always be lonely until death, and well, that's fine. Well, today, I know that there will be lots of topics. Say, for example, just staying home if it's hot outside, whether we should open the window or we should turn on air conditioning. Just for that, lots of families, they fight for this and they argue. A lot of ladies would say, open the window. And then the man would say, no, turn on the air conditioning. So who is right? Say the man said, you must turn on the air conditioner. I don't care what you say. But then the lady would say, no, turn off the air conditioning, open the window. If you both insist, it would be a problem. And well, it's all because whether you have put yourself in other people's shoes and think about the other people and say the couple fight and then the lady is doing a stir fry and then the husband said, oh, put oil. Oh, no, too much heat. Oh, no, it's not cooked yet. Oh, poop, rush, come, take it out. And then the wife would say, stop saying that. I've been cooking for so many years. And then the husband said, sometimes when they're driving, then the man would say, I've already been driving for so many years. Why should you always tell me what to do? When the man is driving, the wife always say, no, stop, it's too fast. And so when the wife is cooking, then the man would say that. And so, they don't understand each other. They don't think for the others. There's so many things happening in our life like this. At the beginning, we mentioned those daughter-in-laws only in their 20s or 30s. How can they understand their mother-in-law or father-in-law who are already in their 60s and 70s? Their physical needs, their mental needs, their perspective. How can they be the same? The young people would never think the same as those seniors, especially when there's something happening. What the seniors might think, everything, when they have a 15 years of difference, almost everything that they think would be different. It has something to do with their life experience, with their age. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about something else that has something to do with this topic. Okay, another story. Okay, a family.
对。
Yeah.
有一家一位公婆。
The mother-in-law and the father-in-law. Well, they were complaining with their neighbors, and they say, "Oh, my son is so poor. He had a very lazy wife. Already 9:30 in the morning, the wife hasn't even get up. My son has to cook the breakfast and even feed her. Oh my God! Oh." How sad I am for my son. How come I have such a daughter-in-law? It's not a good wife at all. Maybe I didn't do something good before? And then one of the ladies in the neighborhood said, "Oh, no. Oh, I see. How about your daughter? Is your daughter happy when she married?" Say, "Of course, that's my daughter, you know. My daughter is very happy. My daughter can sleep until noon. And then her husband would buy, Western food to feed. And her husband would feed her. You see, my daughter is so beautiful, so smart. Oh, her husband really, really loves her. And he's almost like her slave. And her husband give all the money to my daughter and even give me some. You see, my daughter has such a good fate." And then the neighbor said, "Oh, well, your daughter looks like your daughter-in-law. Well, my daughter actually has a better life." Well, actually, her daughter is very similar to her daughter-in-law, but when she talks about the daughter-in-law, no, what a bad lady, and almost scolding her. But when she was talking about her own daughter, you see? Wow, she has good fate. See? She's just fortunate to have such a wonderful husband. But when her son looks after the wife, the daughter-in-law, then she said, "No, what is he doing?" So, listen. So how should we look at this? Okay, now we're going to talk about treat others the way you want to be treated. Sometimes it's hard to understand. So treat others the way you want to be treated. And okay, you don't give others the used clothes. That's not right and that's not wrong. In difficult times, those people from the countryside, if they have financial difficulties, they have quite a few children. And usually they will pass down the clothes. The bigger kids, they grow up. The biggest child usually don't have enough clothes. And so when they come to the city and they see some used clothes, if they are still gently used, then their relatives in the countryside, then they will be happy to accept them. But if they're not very gently used, don't give it to others. If you think that they are not very, if they don't have financial difficulty, don't give to them. So one sister one day found a lot of used clothes, used bags, used shoes, a big chunk of them. And then she talked to her husband. "See, this clothes is of a good brand. It wasn't. It was quite expensive before, but you see, but one button is off and there's a hole here. Maybe we can give to that family. They're not very rich, and this clothes might fit her. Or maybe we can give it to Lao Li's family. This bag, maybe we can give to Lao Wang's family." But I think the result, let me tell you the true result. If you do not give those to them, you're still friends. But ever since you give those old ones, the used ones to them, you're not friends anymore. Because you're giving them some very, not very good clothes, and you give it to them. It's like a humiliation. Maybe you don't understand this. At least, well, it's not respectful. Well, you think that they're poor, and you give them those very, it's not very gently used, but too much used ones and old ones. If you really want to make friends with them, whether they're poor or not or rich, when there's a holiday or some special day, and buy some good presents. Maybe some fruit, or even a cake or something. It doesn't have to be very expensive, but it's very pleasant, and then the friendship will become better and better. If you give them an old bag and it's like there's the button is the button is off, and it's not very not very nice used ones, and you give to them, it's like it's not very respectful to them. So that is also a way that you're not treating them in the way that they want to be treated. If they do the same to you, if they give you some really harshly used ones and very old ones, would you be happy? So don't give them those things. If I can add something, I would say, do not just, treat them genuinely. When I was with my master, people would come to my master and sometimes offer cash, sometimes rice, sometimes butter, sometimes oil, or something that is very expensive or precious. But there are two ladies. They're not very genuine. And, their appearance also shows that they... Every time they come, they would come with a huge, a big basket. What would be in the basket? Just some turnips or cabbage, and only like $10 for a big chunk. And she would always say, "Oh, it's so heavy, help me to carry them." And then it's a big basket, but... Well, she's trying to show that she gave us a lot of things, but I would say it's not right to do that. You are making offerings to a venerable enlightened being or a master, and this master is going to help you to eliminate your disasters. But when you're making the offering, this is not very genuine. She was thinking like, see, I give you a big basket, but not much value. And some people, if they say, give a big box of cotton, those things like that, it's a big volume, but it's not of good value. So that is not very genuine offering. And if you do this to your friend, then they would think that you're not very sincere. How can they be good friends to you? So my master usually would say, "Oh, this person seems to be very sincere," but actually what he's saying is that she needs to be more sincere. That already has shown that because of of her lack of sincerity, she won't get as much. So the prosperity might not approach her. Say, for example, she's supposed to get 100,000, then she probably will only get 20,000 or something. So being very honest and sincere is very, very important. Another thing, I like to tell you another person that I know. It's a lady student. She was of ordinary appearance. She was very enthusiastic, and she was very outgoing, really liked to socialize. Everybody likes her, and she always comes to help. You know, she's always seems to be familiar with everyone, and everybody says that she's good. And then, her boyfriend is more than 10 years older than her. And so she brings, say, the boyfriend is called Lao Xu. And so Lao Xu is very good at doing things and very... And so I asked them, how long have you been together? And so they said, already 8 years. But they haven't get married yet. And so I said, why you don't get married? So the girl said, the girl's mother does not agree. The girl's mother always say that all men are not good. They always are greedy and greed for lust, and so better not marry. And before, this girl had a boyfriend and been together for 4 or 5 years, and the boyfriend already prepared everything for the marriage, but the mother denied it and doesn't allow her to get married. And the girl, because she was a single mother, they grew up together, and the mother brought her up not very easy, and so she always listened to the mother. Now, this girl, so the first time she didn't get married, and now Lao Xu came. Lao Xu has a medium-sized business, and all the money he earned, he would spend on the lady, the girl, and the girl's mother. So everything that you can think of or not think of, and so he's really treating her very nicely. But why don't they get married? And then they say, because the mother said no man is good. And so I think, what's the matter? What happened? Maybe she encountered something when she was young. And so I asked her to come, and we talked. So the girl's father, this girl's mother has some, some kind of a temper, and the father cannot bear with it, so he left. And then this mother always say that this father is not very good. And ever since then, the mother says, none of the men are good. Okay, so let's ask Zhechen to do some YouTube advertisement first, and then we'll come back to the story. YouTube is a very stable platform and very easy to use YouTube. Especially, we have Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel, and you can see many wonderful teachings on Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel. If you have not yet subscribed to Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel, please do so. And if you already subscribe, you would know how good it is, and you can share with your friends, and you can watch Master's live broadcast on YouTube, and you can also watch the recorded videos too. Let's watch one. So YouTube, I'll teach you how to subscribe to Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel. To subscribe Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube, then you'll get notification whenever there's a new video. So first, you download YouTube application and play. If it's an Apple phone, then Apple Store, and then you search YouTube, and then install. And the second step, you should register an account, and then you go to subscribe, register for an account, put your name there, your birth date, gender, and then you can put your Gmail address there, and put your password there, and then continue, and put your phone number there. When you receive the verification code, you use the verification code and then verify. Now the account is registered. Now the third step is to subscribe to Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search Grandmaster JinBodhi, find the right channel, and into the channel you'll see many Master's teachings and recorded live broadcast. And then click subscribe, and then if you press the bell, it will give you notifications. When you click on the chosen video, and then the triangle, and then you can preview, and you can see, you can choose the timeline, like which part of the video you want to watch. If you like these videos, then you can like them and comment and share. You can also teach your friends around you and help them to connect with Grandmaster JinBodhi. That will help them a lot, and a lot of good fortune and merits for you too. So our friends online, so remember to subscribe Grandmaster JinBodhi's YouTube channel, and then it will be already and remember to press on the bell, so you'll get notifications. Turn on the notifications. Click on the bell icon and select all, so that you won't miss any of the new videos. And on YouTube, every time we actually have already, if you see that there's a triangle over there, then you will see at different time what is the content of the teaching. And if you like one of the teachings, part of the teachings there, then you click on the time and you will be able to watch that part of the teaching. And if you're sharing with somebody else and you see, oh, this happens to relate to her problem, and so you can share that part to your friend, and then that will match what she needs to hear. So I hope more and more people would come together and watch the video with us. Okay, thank you, Zhezheng. Let's continue. Let's continue this fight between the mother and the daughter. It's a long story. So the girl who was in love, she told me, "Oh, Master, there are more trouble." "Oh, no problem. Well, now there's trouble because she was pregnant." So I said, "Well, this is the time that you need to talk to your mother to get married." Because the girl had abortion before, and the doctor has already warned her, if you keep doing abortion, that will, well, in the future, you might have the risk that never getting pregnant anymore. So I talked to the mother and said, "This man doesn't look very handsome, but he's a good man. He didn't keep any money that he earned. He put all the money buying things for your whole family." And I said that this girl and the man, they do look like couples. And so I talked to the mother for 2-3 hours. Finally, the mother agreed. And then I said, if you... but she said, "Oh, if you get married, I need to be your neighbor so that we can look after each other." And so they are very happy. After 2-3 years, they are even happier. This mother was so happy. She almost will kneel down to me to thank me. She said, "Oh, thank to you to tell me to allow them to get married. At that time, they've already had 2 babies. Oh, if I had known that before, if I'd known that they could have such lovely babies, I would allow them to get married earlier." And they were very happy. They had 1 boy, 1 girl. They're so lovely and really adorable. And the grandmother is very, very happy. Every day, she's so, very happily look after the grandchildren. Every day is smiling. So that really makes a good couple and a good family. So, some people, not just parents, they sometimes they think that this is good, and they will not think on the other person's perspective. Well, they would think that this is love, but they will impose this so-called love to the other people. Say, for example, like they give the wig to the friend on the birthday. So, and there's something even funnier. In Beijing, there was a man who retired. At the time, his son was doing business, but and the father always had pain on the legs and hard to walk. And the son was very good and bought electrical kind of remote control to... He bought a kind of a walker, and then the father was very happy to use it and asked or forced his son to buy another one to give it to his friend, because his friend really likes exercising and likes to walk. When his friend is on his 60th birthday, so they send that wheelchair or kind of walker to the friend as a birthday present, and then they were very, very annoyed. But this man was very, very, surprised. I thought, this is something really expensive. I thought that this is really good. So I asked my son to buy this expensive gift to give you as a birthday present. He thought that this is good. So I would say this is a kind of like a kidnapping with love. It's a so-called love, but makes you embarrassed or makes you feel bad. So you see that man's friend, he's very healthy and he's very, he does a lot of good exercise and walks very well, but then they give them this walker that makes them feel like, indicates that he's not that healthy. So that's why they were annoyed. Well, my parents actually were not very highly educated, couldn't even write their names, but they're very genuine people. Every day we will see some people begging for food, really beg for food. It's not like, people on the street, they don't want food. They only want money. And if you don't give them enough, they sometimes will not be happy. But at that time, they're really, really poor. And because they don't have enough food to eat, so they have to leave their hometown and go to places where they can beg for food. Every time, whenever my mother saw those people, she would give them food. And sometimes we don't have leftovers. She doesn't want to give them leftovers. She always cooks good food, new food for them. And so one day, somebody knocked at the door. It was a family, the parents and the child. And so my mother asked them to come in. And so she was trying to get something for them, some steamed buns and and she also cooked some porridge. And they really had a good food. And before they go, my mother gave them a bag. And my mother said, it's almost a moon festival. It's in Qinghai. It was already a little bit cold at the time. And so my mother prepared some thick coat. Well, even though we're not very rich, but at least we can still give them. So she gave them each one, for the parents and the child, a coat. And so, everyone will have their difficult times. Everyone will encounter challenges. And if someone can truly have compassion and loving kindness and offer help, I think whether this is immeasurable merits or not, I think that at least makes the other person really, really feel warm and happy. So having such a compassionate and kind heart to care for them, to help them, is very good. But we also need to observe and think and summarize. Don't just use your own way. Don't always like my way. So there's a process of learning. I hope you will learn, these techniques. We can learn gradually. The most important thing, first of all, is to have a loving heart, a helping heart, a compassionate heart, and then that will safeguard us so that we will not make big mistakes, and also make our lives happier and more friends. And when we have afflictions or difficulties, we will have more way out. So when we're talking about this, I hope our descendants, they can learn this so that they can live a smoother and safer and happier life. Wish everybody good, smooth sailing. And so on Friday, we will have the group practice for chanting. I hope you invite friends to come and chant. If you chant more, everybody's life will be better and everything will be smoother and more good fortune. Okay, thank you very much.